And here's a question many couples are afraid to ask out loud. Is the spark in our marriage gone forever? Because if you've been married for long enough, it's easy to wake up one day and realize something has changed. You still love each other. You're still committed to marriage, but the romance, the laughter, and the connection that once came so naturally now feels distant. But what if the spark isn't gone at all? What if it simply is waiting to be rekindled the way God designed marriage to work? So if you've ever wondered whether the spark in your marriage is fading, you're not alone. So in this video, we're going to answer 3 important questions that almost every Christian couple asks at some point. First, is it normal for the spark to fade? Or does it mean something's wrong in our marriage? Second, can romance actually come back? Or is this just kind of what marriage becomes over time? And then third, what do you do if one of you still wants the spark back, but the other seems perfectly content with how things are? I've seen that a lot. So by the end of this video, I want you to see that the spark in your marriage may not be gone at all. It may simply need to be rekindled. So let me show you something about romance and marriage. I brought this little box of matches with me. Now, if I light one match and just hold it here, what's going to happen? Well, eventually it's going to burn out. The flame only lasts for a short time. But what if I hold another match up to it? And then I take another match after that and light it. Guess what? The flame keeps going. Romance and marriage, it kind of works like this. The spark doesn't stay lit all by itself. It takes intentionality and resourcefulness to keep the flame going. See, most couples assume that because the flame goes out or the spark fades, that something is wrong in their marriage or their relationship. But most of the time, it fades because no one kept lighting the next match. That's why one of the most common questions that couples ask is this: is it normal for the spark to fade? Or does it mean that something's wrong in our marriage? So early in marriage, connection feels natural. It's almost effortless. Conversations flow easily, affection is frequent, and couples feel emotionally and spiritually aligned. I mean, you talk late into the night, you laugh easy, you naturally prioritize time together. But then life happens. Careers demand more attention, and kids arrive, and your schedules get full, and bills, responsibilities, stress, and you're tired all the time. And sometimes even church commitments begin to take up more space in life. And little by little, connection begins to drift. And couples often wake up one day and think, how did we get here? And yes, Bonnie and I have experienced the same thing in our own marriage. As we drift, we typically drift towards what's easy, not towards what's hard. And keeping romance strong and alive in marriage isn't always easy. So sometimes we just go with wherever life takes us. Most couples assume that when the spark fades, something must be wrong. Maybe we married the wrong person. Or maybe our relationship isn't as strong as we thought. Maybe our marriage is failing. But the truth is most healthy marriages move through seasons where the spark feels weaker. It's just called life. The question isn't, did the spark fade? The better question is this: have we stopped feeding the fire? And so that leads us to the second question that couples often ask. Can romance actually come back? Or is this just kind of what marriage becomes over time? See, many couples quietly fear that this is simply what happens after 10 or 15 years of marriage. They start to believe that passion and romance are things that you really just experience early in marriage, but eventually they fade and all that remains are the responsibilities. It doesn't have to be true. So you manage schedules, you raise kids, you take care of the house, but most couples no longer feel the same connection that they once had. Here's the truth, guys. Romance isn't sustained by feelings. Romance is sustained by habits. When couples intentionally rebuild certain rhythms in their relationship, romance often begins to return. When couples rediscover friendship and start enjoying each other again, then connection grows. When they create emotional safety, where they can talk open and honestly and they listen well, intimacy deepens. When they laugh together, when they share meaningful experiences again, instead of just managing responsibilities, something begins to change. The spark doesn't come back by accident. The spark comes back through small daily connections. So let me say this. When this video is over, Bonnie and I are going to go have our date night. You know why? Because it's Wednesday and the kids are at church on Wednesday. And so that's a night that naturally works for us to carve out time together. Does it mean that our responsibilities stopped? No. Is there more work that I could do? Definitely. There's definitely more stuff that she could do tonight. But we've carved out Wednesday night for this season of our marriage to connect. We found that we have to be intentional. Okay, but there's another situation that couples often face, and it can be one of the most painful dynamics in marriage. I've seen this happen a lot. What happens when one spouse wants a spark back, but the other spouse seems perfectly content with how things are? And in many marriages, one spouse will say something like, I feel like we're just roommates. I miss the connection that we used to have. Or I want us to feel close again. And then meanwhile, the other spouse will respond by saying, things seem fine to me. I mean, we're not fighting. What's the problem? Or life's just busy right now. Or some couples, some people just say, that's the way my parents were. Isn't this just kind of the way marriage is? Guys, that can create a really painful cycle where one spouse is longing for a deeper connection and the other doesn't fully understand why it matters so much. I want to say this from a pastoral counseling perspective. This is where we often need to shift our mindset about what marriage is meant to be. Many couples believe that the goal in marriage is simply to not argue and avoid conflict. As long as we don't get divorced, we're fine. As long as we're not fighting, things must be okay. But guys, biblical love calls us to something deeper than that. Scripture reminds husbands to love their wives and to not be harsh with them, which means love's not passive. It's attentive, it's responsive, it's intentional. Marriage isn't just about living peacefully under the same roof, guys. It's about cultivating connection. And here's the encouraging truth. For most couples, the spark isn't actually gone. It's simply buried under years of routine, responsibilities, and unresolved disconnection. So when couples begin rebuilding friendship and learn to listen again and reconnecting spiritually and creating intentional time together like date night, something beautiful often happens. That spark doesn't just return. In many marriages, it becomes deeper than it was in the early years. Now, hearing that should bring some hope to your marriage. Because if the spark isn't gone, it means it can be rekindled. But that naturally raises another question. How do you actually do that? What do couples do when they realize they've drifted and they want to bring back romance and connection into their marriage? Well, in the next video, I'm going to show you 3 simple ways to begin rekindling romance in your marriage right now. These aren't complicated ideas. They're practical habits that can help couples rebuild friendship, emotional connection, and the spark that many marriages slowly lose over time. So if you want to know exactly how to start bringing back the spark in your marriage, watch the video right here called 3 Ways to Rekindle Romance. I'll walk you through these first steps, and you and your spouse can begin to reconnect today.